Growing up, one of my favorite genres of games was survival horror. I was absolutely in love with Resident Evil and Dino Crisis. Those two franchises were some of my favorite games. I love the tank controls, the fixated cameras, how tense it was. And they were just timeless games in my opinion. And I've always followed the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil 1 was great, 2 was great, 3 was great, Code Veronica was great, and then Resident Evil 4 came along. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was not a big fan of Resident Evil 4 when it first released. I thought, hey, this is way too action orientated. There's no scares, there's no, tension. I have so much ammo. And unfortunately, I wasn't a fan of the game when it first released. I grew to appreciate it, and yes, I love it as a game now, but I didn't love it as a Resident Evil game, and that's sort of the direction the franchise went in. Resident Evil 5 and 6 were very action orientated. 7 sort of brings it back to its roots a bit, but still, it's nothing like those first 4 games that we had. And I love the Dino Crisis games too, but unfortunately Capcom doesn't make Dino Crisis games anymore. So what are you supposed to do if you're looking for a classic survival horror game? Unfortunately, not many companies are making those because tank controls are dated and fixated cameras. It's all about being able to control your camera and see your character. Well, unbeknownst to me, a game called Vaccine released earlier this year for the Xbox One, PS4, and Steam. And somehow I completely missed it. I knew nothing about this game until today. I saw that on the Japanese eShop, this game called Vaccine released for the Nintendo Switch, and I saw a little clip of gameplay and I was like, what the hell is this? This looks like Resident Evil from the mid-90s. Like, this is awesome. I need to know more. So I went and did some research and I found out that the whole game is in English on the Japanese eShop. It's just on the Japanese eShop. Well, luckily, as you guys know, the Nintendo Switch is region free. So I hopped on over to PlayAsia.com and I picked up a 1,000 yen eShop card, which cost me about $12. The game cost 1,000 yen, which is about $10 in sort of a conversion rate there. And I've been playing this game for like the past 6.5 hours. It is like 3 a.m. right now as the time I'm filming this. I need to get up in a few hours for work. But honestly, when I finish this video, I'm going back to play it. And I've seen a lot of low reviews on this game, and I'm not sure why, because this game kicks ass. So we're gonna talk about Vaccine for the Nintendo Switch. So when you start up Vaccine, you choose from a male or female character, and you are immediately thrust into this world. Basically, you're in a room, and your partner is dying. You need to find a vaccine, and there's a timer on the top of the screen counting down 30 minutes real time. So when you search around the room, you get a knife immediately, very Resident Evil style, and then you're off to the races. You're going around trying to find this vaccine in this gigantic area. And when you die, because you're gonna die, you're not gonna beat the game on your first time, you'll notice something, that the whole game has sort of changed. All the layouts are different, everything is different. Your first room that you enter is a different room, and that's because this game is randomly generated. And I love that. I think that's phenomenal. It's not just randomly generated rooms, it's randomly generated items, and even story snippets. So the way the story goes is, like I said, your partner is sick, has a virus, you need to find the antidote and bring it back to him and give it to him. So as you're going throughout the game, there's documents, sort of Resident Evil style. So if you want to get deeper into the story, you can, and there's sort of a story there. There's a character named Damon who plays a big role in this game, and it seems like, from what I've gathered, there's a virus called Shredder going around. Not Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that's called, the Shredder thing is going on, and you're having to, sort of piece together what happened here, what's going on with all these zombies, because these zombies are actually people that are infected with the Shredder virus. So as you're going through, basically, you're trying to find the vaccine, and the vaccine, like I said, is always in a different location. So there's no map system because the whole thing is randomly generated. And that to me is just so much fun, because it's like you're playing a new game every time you play it. And there's no point in memorizing where anything is. There's no point in memorizing, oh, this gun is here, this item is here, this health pack is here. because it's worthless. It changes every time because it's randomly generated. So as you're going about, you're gonna come across zombies. And when you kill a zombie, you gain experience. And what you do with that experience is you level up your character. So there's different things you could do, such as, you know, increase your overall health, increase your stamina so that you can run faster, increase your luck when you're picking up items. And it definitely plays a role in how strong your character is and how well you're going to do in the game based on what you do. Now, unfortunately, since the game is randomly generated, sometimes you're dealt, you know, a crappy hand. There have been times where, you know, I've gotten very little in terms of guns and ammunition. There are 2 guns in the game. There's a 9mm and a shotgun. Definitely very old school Resident Evil style. There is a proximity mine as well that you can pick up. And there's these sort of almost Silent Hill-like creatures that you'll have to use those on because those little bastards are just a pain in the ass. But you got to learn to use your knife as well. As you're going throughout the game, you're basically trying to find where the vaccine is, and there are certain locked doors. There's a silver door and a gold door most of the time. In order to unlock these doors, you have to find the key. Now, most of the time the items do shine, sort of like in the original Resident Evil, but unfortunately, sometimes, I don't know if the game just sort of glitches or what the problem is, but you'll be sort of stuck, and you'll be, you know, having to tap the A button and, you know, in every little corner, every little crevice to try to find the key so that you can advance throughout the game. And once again, it's definitely a huge throwback to Resident Evil. So I'm not going to say that this is a great game or anything because it's definitely sort of a narrow audience. If you didn't play those original Resident Evil games, if you didn't play those Dino Crisis games, if you didn't play games with tank controls and fixated cameras, you're going to hate this game. And that's sort of why I think there are a lot of low review scores out there. I was looking at like 4s and 5s for this game and I'm like, what? This game is a masterpiece, and it's definitely a game that's sort of targeted towards me. When you look at the graphical style, it's definitely almost like, you know, a hybrid of the original Alone in the Dark and Resident Evil. It's dark. There's the fixated cameras. There's the creepy atmosphere. There's, you know, the green walls and the family portraits and the big rooms that just, you know, sort of make you feel minuscule in this huge area. And I love it. I love the way it looks. There's actually a CRT thing that you can turn on in the options menu that sort of gives it an even more retro aesthetic to it. And I absolutely love it. The music is top notch. Definitely super creepy. Definitely sort of foreboding to what you're gonna, you know, get into and whatnot. And then, of course, you have the controls. Now, these are tank controls. If you have played the original Resident Evil, if you've played Dino Crisis games, you know what to expect. So for someone like me, I had no problem with it. Now, a newcomer to the survival horror genre, someone who didn't grow up playing those classics, definitely will have struggles with it, definitely will not sort of understand these fixated cameras. But like I said, for someone like me who grew up on these games, I loved it. It was a great throwback. There's even sort of little Resident Evil nods throughout the game when you're searching through areas, looking at items, looking at, you know, pictures on the wall, grandfather clocks, even a piano that does something very funny when the character notices it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I finally got to where the vaccine was. I picked up the vaccine and I ran back to the room. Now there's gonna be slight spoilers here, so you might want to skip ahead if you're, you know, playing this game for the story, but there's really not much of a story. So once you get back to the room and give your character the vaccine, you would think that it was the game over, you know, as long as you did it within that 30 minutes. Well, you are wrong, because what ends up happening is you end up back into the game with a lesser time limit, and you sort of rinse and repeat. But the good thing is your character keeps all of their experience points and all of the leveling you've done. So it does get progressively easier once you beat it the first time. But the struggle is beating it that first time. This game is very challenging. Like I said, it is randomly generated. So you are pretty much at the mercy of the random generation if you want to succeed in this game. There have been times where I've found, you know, the room where the vaccine is within a few minutes. There have been times where I have almost gone the full 30 minutes trying to stay alive. But that's part of the charm for me. That's part of the reason I like this game, because it's always different. I'm still seeing new rooms. Like I said, I've been playing this game for, God, 5, 6, 7 hours straight since I downloaded it, but I'm still seeing new rooms and things like that, and it's just so cool to see that. It's a game that like I said, a very narrow audience. If you did not play the original Resident Evil games and love them, if you did not play Dino Crisis games and love them, you're gonna think this game is a pile of crap. And I'm okay with that, because the game isn't for you. You see, the game is for me. The game is for people like me. The game is for people like Alpha Omega Sin, JKB. You know, us old school survival horror fans who love those games. If you're one of those people, you're gonna love this game. So, Vaccine, it definitely surprised me when I saw it on the eShop or the little trailer. It definitely was worth my purchase, I feel, because it's a game that I'm going to enjoy for a long time. I'm gonna like turning off all the lights in my house and, you know, putting a blanket over my head and sitting there playing it in tablet mode, because it's a game that just makes me feel young again. It's a game that brings me back to that time period of when it was so exciting to play Resident Evil. It was so exciting to play Dino Crisis. They were so scary, they were so tense, and that's what Vaccine makes me feel like. So it's definitely a great homage to those classic games, and if you are a fan of those classic games, to me, a no-brainer. If you didn't grow up on those games, you might want to check out some gameplay to see if it's right for you. But like I said, I don't care if it's right for you, because it's right for me. And so yeah, I don't know when it's coming stateside. So I know it is available on the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam currently, but if you're a Nintendo Switch owner, I don't know when it is coming stateside. They say soon it'll be available worldwide, but I didn't want to wait, so I went ahead and picked up the Japanese version. Like I said, you can head over to playasia.com and pick up a Japanese eShop card. I paid 12 bucks for mine. It was 1,000 yen, which was the cost of the game, and it allowed me to get the game. So if you have played Vaccine on any platforms, let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the gameplay that I've been showing throughout this review, because it's a really cool game, and honestly, I'm gonna go play it some more instead of sleep, and I'll just be dead tired at work tomorrow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Make sure you hit that like button. Leave me a comment in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later. RGT!